here in Nashville. We have Jon with us. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So, first question, I've been asking everyone this. How did you get into physician compensation?
So I graduated from law school in the recession, and there was like nothing. So I went back to Detroit to basically live in my parents' basement, and I just started doing whatever job I could find. I started painting docks again because I grew up on the Detroit River, and was doing landscaping jobs on the side. And next thing I know, my dad, who's an oral surgeon, needs a certificate of need for a new machine he's putting in his office. So I started a small certificate of need consulting firm after a bunch of his friends also needed the same stuff, and I got him a certificate from the state. With that experience, somehow one of our family friends who happened to work for Sullivan Cotter offered me the chance to interview for an analyst role. So I took that chance and luckily got the job. And that's how I started landing in physician comp.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So when you go home, Thanksgiving dinner, what does the family think you actually do?
Oh God, they have no idea. And that's what's pretty funny because my whole family's in medicine. Like I'm the only one, the black sheep who went to law school. But my dad's an oral surgeon, my mom's a general dentist, sister's a dentist, brother-in-law's a retinal surgeon, my grandfather was an internal medicine physician, my aunt's a nurse in a cardiology program, and like everybody's in medicine. Not one of them has any idea what I do. So I've tried to explain it, but they pretty much think that I think I just kind of like process payroll for doctors or something. But it's kind of it.
It's a little bit more challenging than that. So
Yeah.
I know you're one of these folks that's been on both sides of the house.
Yeah.
You've been on the consulting side,
Mhm.
you have a legal background, now you're on in-house.
Yep.
And as you continue to build your team, what is like the one thing that you're focused on for your team in the next 12 months?
That's a great question. As I kind of continue to build the team, I'm looking for like a diverse set of skill sets from the people on my team. It used to be, you need people who are really strong in Excel because everything was run in Excel. And now I'm starting to think more about, what other skills could lend itself well to what our profession is kind of developing into. More data-driven, performance-driven. I've even kind of thought about hiring people who know how to, work in Microsoft, Power BI, all that kind of stuff. The tools that we might be able to think about doing our reporting differently or tie into other things operations is doing. And then I've even thought about hiring people kind of from the operations side because we've built, I think, a reconciliation process in our program that is very tied in with operations. It helps us, I think, effectively, manage production and comp in a good way. And I'm right now thinking about what types of team members can help do that at scale and like in what kind of format.
That's challenging. I hear a lot about challenges of data integration, that the data sources are just getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
And then as you acquire, a lot of the places that you acquire might be on different systems there. So it's really interesting to see how you're tackling that from your own internal team.
Mm-hmm.
How do I support these folks? Historically, we've been in Excel.
Yeah.
What's the next evolution?
Yeah, and I don't know the answer, I have a good team now of people who I can rely on to do a lot of the work that we need to get done, but the question is kind of always in my head, like what's the next step and what is that going to look like? I think the credential that AAPCP is offering now for valuation is really interesting to me. Not just to say that part of the job, which is compliance related or transaction related, would be great skills for anybody to have looking to join a physician comp team or lead a physician comp team, but also what other types of credentials could we possibly be thinking about or tying into things like that, and what part can we play in building that out. I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think training team members is very challenging. A lot of us are probably self-taught and have had to learn different ways, and probably the hard way got a knife in the back, there's scars back there. So how do we make this easier for folks? But I would, I mean, what's your approach? How do you get training for your team?
You know, I always kind of tell people that you can't really be taught physician comp. You have to learn it. You know, it's just, like you said, I mean, most people I meet in this industry, they fall into it somehow because they have, you know, a willingness to tackle things at the right place in the right time. They're just like, hey, someone left who was doing this and now you need to do it. But it's not like you go to school and say, I'm going to be a physician comp person someday. It's like, there's no school for that. So yeah, I mean, I think we could do, and I mean, our industry's pretty young, our association's pretty young, but I think we could, probably will do things to try to make that easier. You know, as we start to form our own blueprint of what this work should look like, what the scope looks like, and you know, from there, thinking more too about like, you know, what types of training can we offer people to lead those departments.
Excellent. Just a slight pivot as we look forward or backwards too. Was there a specialty or a area within the physician workforce that's kind of bubbling up? I don't know if you're having like cardiology or urology. Is there an area that's been bubbling up a little bit more often now?
You know, not really. I mean, obviously there's shortages in anesthesia, radiology, urology, but you know, at the same time, I think I'm looking at it more like a broader picture. You know, we know what labor workforce shortages are going to look like in the physician and provider space, and we know that there's going to be an increasing demand for care. So I'm trying my best to design, you know, competitive compensation models, but then also, you know, partnering closely with operations to, you know, build out the intangibles. You know, what are the things that make people want to practice medicine or stay with our organization compared to others? And I think that I'm fortunate to work with really, really good people in that area, and you know, they make that happen. I think the physician engagement, the physician leadership is a really big component of that, and tying into it, you know, from my department as much as we can to support their work is kind of where I focus.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Appreciate the great insights, and we'll let you get back to the conference.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Okay.